Hey everyone, AquaTwist here, and welcome back to UI Spy, the series where I analyze the UI of video games. 2023 truly was a landmark year in gaming. I'd say it's the best year of video games since 2017, or heck, even 2019. I made a poll recently asking you all what I should make as my first video of the new year, and everyone wanted me to talk about my favorite game UI of last year. So, I'm gonna do just that. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, I don't have a PS5, so no Spider-Man 2 or Baldur's Gate 3, and it's impossible for one person to have played everything, so there will definitely be some omissions from this list. If you have a favorite game or game UI that I didn't mention you want to talk about, let me know in the comments below. And without further ado, let's begin. To start, let's talk about the grooviest game to come out of this year, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Holy crap. With music by Hideki Naganuma, who worked previously on the Jet Set Radio series and Lethal League Blaze, you can tell from the start this game is going to be a banger. And I waited until the physical release to come out all the way back in December, so this is the most recent game I played on this list. But I am so glad I waited. What a perfect game to end the year on, even though it came out back in July. If you're a fan of games from the early 2000s on the Dreamcast like Jet Set Radio, Sonic Adventure, or Crazy Taxi, this is right up your alley. With this awesome just punk and street graffiti aesthetic with shell shading that you can see the whole game, and it bleeds into the UI. When you're in the pause menu and you want to select a different option, instead of just having the color change to let you know it's selected, the end of the last letter is extended. So instead of resume, it's resume with a crap ton of ease. Same thing with quit in settings. It's a really funny touch, and I kinda wish more games did this. It makes it unique. The curved font also extends to the phone, which yes, that's right, we have a diegetic UI in this video. How awesome is that? For those of you who don't know, diegetic UI is a sort of element that exists within the real world, within the character. Think of something like Samus's visor from Metroid Prime, for example. There's a real-world clock in the phone, so the time that would be in your world would be displayed in the world of Bomb Rush, which that's really cool. Again, I wish more games did that other than just Animal Crossing and stuff like that. And as you select between the different options in your phone, you see the main character, Red, also use their phone. It's just so cool. It's just not just a static item animation. It makes you feel connected to the main character. Unlike in Jet Set Radio, most of the UI during gameplay is at the bottom of the screen with the trick meter and the combo points. And because of that, you're able to easily focus on the center of the screen where the gameplay action happens. Really smart design. Also, I love how the trick meter is just a little rectangle bar that slowly curves upward. It reminds me of the HP bars in Kingdom Hearts, which I really miss. When you're doing your spray paint graffiti over a piece of art in the game and doing a pattern, you can have your phone up on the same time as when you're doing it, so you don't have to memorize all the patterns. This is genius design, and I love that. I'm glad I don't have to worry about trying to memorize all the different graffiti patterns I have along. Just look at it and be like, okay, which one have I not done yet? Okay, this one, this is that size, boom, it's done. But the one main problem I have is, at least on the Switch version, it's very hard to read the menu font when you're looking at the different options and stuff. It's very tiny, especially in docked. Oh god, don't get me started on handheld mode. And I understand it was probably designed more for PC and bigger screens first. It would have been nice if, at least for the Switch version, it was easier to read the menu options. But otherwise, the game is totally fine and playable. It's not like Witcher 3 or Doom Eternal where it's really hard to read the font. But if you haven't played this game already, I highly recommend it. It is hands down my favorite indie game to come out of this year. Let's talk about the revolutionary hit that helped bring fighting games into a renaissance this year, and that we'll see for the next few, Street Fighter 6. Holy crap. I dabbled in Third Strike and Street Fighter 2 in the Alpha series before, but none of the previous entries really clicked with me until this one. For the first time in the series, it finally feels like the series is living up to its namesake. The urban roots can be found all over the soundtrack and the graphic design and the menus and the stages. Oh, it really hits with me. I don't know why. Hell, even in the World Tour intro, the Capcom logo has that awesome graffiti art style. And I love games that do that nowadays. The different elements on screen are color-coded for the player 1 and 2 sides, which is less common in fighting games than you think. It makes it feel more like an actual esport, making it easier for casual spectators to figure out who's who on screen. The red and blue health bars and special meters contrast perfectly with the green drive gauge as well as the purple timer UI font. It's so colorful, yet it doesn't distract you from the game. It easily distinguishes the different elements so you can tell at a quick glance, okay, this is how much health I have left, my opponent has left, how much meter I need to use. it helps you feel like you understanding what's going on in the game so players are not overwhelmed. Hell, even at the lowest level, thanks to the modern accessibility controls added in this game. I'm really hoping Tekken 8 and games in the future include more stuff like this. We can always use a nice level of accessibility for people who are new to fighting games or having trouble getting into it, or people who want to get into Street Fighter and like other fighting games, but they struggle because of the complex inputs. Street Fighter 6 has this perfect level of balance that has brought in so many more players, hell, even way more than when Street Fighter 5 came out, and I really hope to see this continue forward in the future. The menus in the Battle Hub are a bit quickly and spread out between two different menus, which is odd to me. It makes sense on paper, but if you want to just go to the ranked matches, you press one button. But it's like, oh crap, I gotta go to replays and go join my friend's lobby. That's a different button in the main menu. It's a bit confusing, and it would have been nice if it was all just condensed into one singular menu. But regardless, this is the best fighting game that I have played in a long time. It makes you feel confident that you can do some crazy stuff and have fun with it too. As I mentioned in the Tekken 8 video, I expect more fighting games in the future to take a page from how successful the UI has helped make this game in the future. It's just that good. Let's talk about a hidden gem that came out early in 2023 that not enough people talked about, and it deserves more credit. Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. I love the mainline series. I beat 3 recently, but this feels like a perfect contrast to the high-octane, action-packed, bloody spectacle of the series. As a prequel, it contrasts perfectly with the main series, featuring a storybook watercolor aesthetic instead of this more stylized, almost realistic looking approach. I feel like this art style is going to stand the test of time and make it one of the Switch games I feel like in a few years, people are going to look back on and be like, wow, this is really good. Even if you haven't played the Bayonetta games before, it has a really nice gameplay feature where you control 2 characters at once. But despite this, there's barely any UI on screen. Only the flower petals for your health, which that's a cool touch. I haven't really seen that before. And also your inventory items. Be like, okay, I want to use a health item or an attack item and stuff like that. It allows you to, once again, like other games on this list, focus on the beautifully drawn environments of the game. Most of the menus and pop-ups use a lot of this navy blue contrasting with the eggnog off-color white, and I love that contrast. It makes it feel like a unique art style, and it's minimal, but at the same time, it's soft and perfectly readable. It perfectly contrasts with the rest of the soft watercolor aesthetic of the game. But overall, it's a nice and chill game, allowing you to just get collectibles and reach the next objective, unlock new skills. If you haven't played this before, I recommend it. Granted, if you're trying to 100% it, good luck. The collectibles are surprisingly infuriating to get. That's the only knock I have on it. I never expected to make a video featuring Pikmin, but well, here we are. Why? I mean, it's not really one of my favorite series or anything. I played 1 back in high school and I really didn't like it. I hated the daytime limit, it just was frustrating. Granted, I wasn't really that good of games back then as I am now, but when I played 2 in preparation for 4 this year, I knew I was in for a treat. Same with 3. This is hands down my favorite Pikmin game and one of the best games to come out this year in general for me, but here's why. I'll admit, having the bubble style font just be completely gone in this game is really heartbreaking. It makes it feel like part of the series' identity that it was known for is just gone, and we're in this new, more approachable era to Pikmin, which reflects in the sales and with how many people are just talking about the series. I never heard the series just talked about so much throughout the internet as much as Pikmin 4 was, and it deserves it. It's one of my favorite games to come out of this year thanks to having a UI that is more easily approachable and understandable to new players of the series. For a lot of the on-screen elements, Pikmin 4 uses Morisawa, a commonly used Japanese font most famously known for its use in the Wii series, and Nintendo keeps using it to this day in their casual titles, like Mario Party Superstars. Gone is the iconic long meter that took up most of the top of the screen to let you know, hey, here's how long of a day you have. Instead, it's replaced by a standard kitchen timer style clock. It gives you more screen real estate like in Bomber Cyberfunk, where you're able to take a look at the majority of the screen. There's also a lot of blue motifs in the UI, which helps make the game more relaxing than the previous Pikmin games, which are more punishing, with the gameplay loop of collecting ship parts, defeating enemies, exploring the area, and etc. The blue also carries over to the dialogue boxes, which have soft scan lines between them instead of just a symbol shape, which is pretty nice. The dialogue log from Tears of the Kingdom, and the Persona series is also here, which is weird for a Pikmin game, but since this is more of a narrative-driven story, it makes a lot more sense. Again, it's a modern feature that I really wish more games had, and I'm glad that even Nintendo's doing it. The character icons are anchored on the left center of the screen instead of being all the way at the bottom, which allows the UI elements to be easily spread out and allow players to focus on the beautifully detailed environments and on the gameplay. The inventory screen is easy to navigate through too, with a lot of different shortcut options for allowing players to customize their playstyle, which is genius. I'm surprised that not a lot of first-party Nintendo games have this level of accessibility and customization. Tears of the Kingdom really could have learned from this, and I talked more about it in a previous video here, but regardless, it makes for a grid UX, where players can quickly switch between options without disrupting the gameplay flow and allow for a smooth experience. And finally, the title screen is the best I've seen by far this year. All the elements are shifted to the right instead of being in the center like in the previous 3 games. This allows you to just look at the beautiful art and see all the Pikmin move around in the title screen, more so than before. It also has a beautiful piano piece that makes you reflect on not just this year, but all the years of the Switch that we have seen since 2017. Hopefully this means that the successor is around the corner and that we get, once again, another amazing Nintendo console. And finally, of course, it's not an AquaTwist video without mentioning Persona. I know, but Persona 5 Tactica truly is one of the best surprises to come out of this year. I knew it was going to be decent. It's not something that I really wanted or anything, but it blew my expectations. It feels more like an actual spiritual successor to the original Persona 5 than Strikers did, which I never expected. The stories of Toshiro and Arena are just so engaging. I just love them as characters, and ooh, I need to make a whole video about this, absolutely. It needs to get discussed. Unfortunately, it came out the same day as Mario RPG, and everyone in the internet's gonna talk about that, so this game didn't really get the love that it truly deserves. But let's get back on topic. Despite having the Persona 5 name, it feels completely different in the UI than the previously mentioned Strikers, or even the base game. Whereas Strikers feel like it was trying too hard to copy the original UI with the date and time system and inventory menus, Tactica has a completely new design that fits the aesthetic and the revolution theme of the game. The white motif is replaced by this beige, reminiscent of old propaganda posters. It better fits the theme of this game, being a revolution against the kingdoms and the rulers that the Phantom Thieves have to go against throughout the course of the game. It also feels refreshing after seeing many years of Persona 5 spin-offs using the same basic red, white, and black color scheme. With the character icons being on the bottom right of the screen during battles, it is eerily similar to how they look in Persona 5, except they're more cartoony and more flashy. When you have a character being selected and it's their turn, there's a little action bar right next to them, helping you indicate, okay, I'm currently using Joker, for example. Really nice touch. The menus are also surprisingly easy to navigate through too, with a couple exceptions. When you're doing a quest, which is a little side mission off in the main story, there's 2 menus called Quest. One is for just viewing the quest, battle conditions, rewards, etc., and the other is actually doing the quest. In between battles, each of the menus are very easy to navigate through and are clearly organized. When you have an option selected, it shows the header of the option and the brief description as to what the option does. I wish more games did this. A brief complaint though, if you're in cutscenes and you want to see the options for viewing the dialogue log or skipping or fast forwarding and not having to memorize it, it's the right D-pad button. On Switch, this looks like the plus symbol with how friggin' tiny it is. So sometimes I just end up skipping a cutscene I don't want to skip because I want to be like, oh, what is the log button again? It's very frustrating and I wish they expanded the size, at least for the Switch version. And finally, the Persona 5 command menu's back. We can have clear distinguished buttons for, okay, I want to do my physical attack or my persona skills, I want to swap characters, I want to do a triple threat, stuff like that. But that's all I have to say for now. I don't want to spoil that video, so if you want me to make that video, be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments below. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the original Persona 5. Don't let this one underperform. And with that said, those are my favorite game UIs of this year. Which game UIs did you like? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more UI Spy videos. Anyways, I'm going to go back to finish my backlog over the winter break, so thanks for watching. Bye!